Good morning, everyone. My name is Ashu Sharma. I am Assistant Professor, CSC Department, Arya Institute of Engineering Technology and Management, Jaipur. Today, we will study cloud security and its implementation. So, very first thing is what exactly the cloud security? Cloud security policy. We talk about the cloud security is something in which doesn't we don't compromise with that security perspective of stored data on the cloud. So it's a policy which reflects that organization goal and all sorts of that implementation. We have to protect them. So very first that comes is senior management statement of policy. As its name suggests us, that senior management statement of policy, it is based on one model CIA. C stands for confidentiality, I stands for integrity, and A stands for availability. Confidentiality means to hide the sensitive information. So we don't want to violate this rule. The next is the integrity. Integrity means that modification of sensitive information cannot be performed. This is very important that in transit from client to server or server to client, we don't want that information can be modified. Actual data or information should be transit. The next is the availability. Whenever an authorized person from the company or an organization wants to access the sensitive information, that information will be available for that person. So this is that particular that role of that senior management statement of policy in order to protect the assets of customers as well as the company. Now the second is the general organizational policies. General organizational policy is basically based on five rules. The very first one is the awareness program related to security. So, as a company emits, we will say that we should have that awareness program that why that security is important because obviously we have so many customers, so we don't want that their data might be a kind of risk. So we have to follow that awareness program for customers as well as for the company needs. So we have some examples of bank system also that time to time basis RBI also gives us SMS and emails that how to follow the security measures in order to use online banking nowadays. So this is the first principle. Second principle is the clear communication. Communication gap should not be there in between the customers and the company or the organization. There should be a crystal clear information flow in between members of a company as well as the customer. The third is the authorized access towards the sensitive data. As I mentioned that authorized access is very important. Only the authentic person can able to access the sensitive information of a company. So it makes consistent behavior of the company policies and the implementation. Now the next is the encryption of data. Encryption of data provides the concept of public and private key concept. So that information should be available with the authorized person only. And in order to secure data, we have to convert that data into the encrypted form. Encryption means transfer that data from original data form to the ciphertext form and decrypt it. Same ciphertext can be transformed into the original data form. So this is the another principle that we generally talk about. Next is the monitoring. If suppose, although we have a security policies and its implementation, but something which is unauthorized happen in a company, so we have a team that should watch such kind of activities and monitoring such kind of activities. So this is also a big principle and very critical principle when we talk about the general organizational policy. So there are five principles. First is that security awareness program. Second is that clear communication. Third is that authorized access towards the data. Fourth is the encryption of data. And fifth is the monitoring. Now there is a next triangle of that functional policies. Functional policies that are in operations. But we can't say this is for the individual or we can directly apply for the individual. Basically, these policies apply in a hierarchical manner so that one person work can depend on some other persons also in a company or organization. So these policies should be applied in some hierarchical manner. IBM and Oracle generally follow such kind of things and rules and regulations. Next is the mandatory standards. Standards suggest about the quality control and assurance. Any organization or company, whenever follow certain standards, then definitely they will give us the quality product. So large scale companies and medium scale companies having that tendency of following standards, but it is little bit difficult for the micro level companies to follow certain standards. Next is the baseline. Baseline is a concept, we can say it is a minimum that requirement of that security. We can take an example of suppose someone want to use my system, so he or she should know about that password to log in with that. So it's the minimum level of security while accessing my system. So baseline decides this is the minimum level, you cannot go beyond that, you cannot go behind this. This is the concept of baseline. Now next is the recommended guidelines and detailed procedure. Guideline is what? Guideline is something which is a practical implementation, and it is decided by some senior expert persons, team of expert persons. These are the practical instructions that everyone has to follow. So guidelines basically, it is a draft which defines that for the employees of the company that these are the instructions and you should follow these instructions in order to implement security policies. Next one is the procedure. We all are computer savvy, so we all know that procedure is a step-by-step instructions that in order to achieve a certain goals and targets, we have to follow step-by-step procedures, step-by-step instructions. So this is that we have, we can say structure in order to start with the cloud security policy implementation. Now there are certain challenges. There are certain challenges. Suppose the first challenge is the authorization. Authorization is something which talk about the identity of the user. So very first we have to verify the user, whether that user is valid or not. So if this is achieved, then we comes to the second point, that is authentication. Authentication is this, then when the user is valid, now we have to put certain extent of rights to that user. So that rights only given when the user is valid. And we should know about what kind of rights I can give to that person. This is also very big challenge in order to implement security policies. The third one is the auditing. Auditing is also a big concern because if something is going wrong or something which is negative to the organization, you have to just identify that and resolve that. This is the concept that these are the challenges that we generally talk about. Now the next is here we have senior policy types, where we have senior management statement of policies, regularity policies, advisory policies, and informative policies. So as we talk about the senior management statement of policies, this is based on CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability model. The next is the regularity policy. Regularity policies generally talk about that compliance that we generally submit as an organization, that this is that we have in terms of services and infrastructure, and these are the things as per the feedback from some higher that statutory bodies, they can decide that these are the things you have to improve. So certain policies might be modified in order to submit the compliance report for an organization. Next is the advisory policy. Advisory policy is not the decision of any individual in a company or organization. In order to float such kind of policy, we have to make adjustment with each and everyone. And this cannot be enforced. As per the suggestions of everyone's, a common decisions will be made and then it will be deployed in an organization structure. The next is the informative policy. Informative policies are something you can say it is a kind of information which is given to the reader. So we can say yes, it is applicable for internal structure as well. But if someone that we have some adjustment with the third party also, so we can transmit this information to third party. But very first thing we have to make that sure assurity about the authentication of that third party. So these are some policy types that we can generally deals with when we talk about the deployment. So these are the things that we generally talk about. Now we have some cloud security design principles, which is based on that architecture, which is SaaS as a software as a service, and PaaS as a platform as a service, and IaaS as an information as a service. So this is all about this lecture and what are the security policies and how to implement these concepts. So as far as this architecture is considered, whenever we talk about the organization, we should have certain architecture to follow in order to design a security principles. Like in this slide mentioned, some these privileges given, separation of duties, fail safe, defense in depth, economy of mechanism. So all these align with the safety and security measures of the company and organization. Thank you so much for being with us. And now I just thank you everyone.